Okay, so in this video, this will be about corporate objectives, strategy, and structure. So for the first one, we'll be having objectives of business. So again, the subject is strategic business analysis, and I think the main word there is strategy. But then again, strategy is a very broad word, very broad, topic coverage. And in a sense, it's also very big. We've been hearing about, strategies over the years, but what exactly is a strategy? Okay. So for individuals, even individual people, we do need certain strategies for, certain occasions. And essentially what a strategy means is that what is your plan, or what's your step-by-step process, or, what's your general plan to achieving your goals and objectives. Okay, so for the first module here on strategic business analysis, we'll be talking about the corporate objectives and the strategies because they go hand in hand. So before we discuss the objectives of business, so bit of introduction or just segue about strategies. So essentially, again, businesses, companies, they would need to have goals and objectives. Okay, their reason for existing, why are they conducting the business? Okay, so again, the main objective normally of businesses is to earn profit, but aside from that, there are other objectives as well. And setting that aside for now, a strategy is what they plan to do to achieve those goals and objectives. So the reason why the word strategy is very broad and vague is that it could mean different things to different people or to different businesses. Okay, it would take into account the type of business, their industry, the type of products or services that they have, the scale of their operations. Are they a small business, or are they operating on a national level or on a global level? And then you also have to consider their target audience, and then the different different sectors or different players that they are interacting with in the industry. Okay, so taking into account all that, then the strategy would differ from person to person or from business to business. That's why, in a way, it's a very difficult one to define, not exactly define, but to develop, because it would differ, again, from what person to person or from business to business. Okay, so in a sense, that's what makes it difficult to understand from the very beginning only. Okay, but as you try to develop one for a particular business or for a particular product, then you would, get a better understanding of it. So over the course of this subject, we will be having those discussions as well, or maybe cases wherein we would try to formulate strategies or goals and objectives for different types of businesses in different industries. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's move on with the actual discussion, objectives of business. So we have this article from economicsdiscussion.net. Okay, everything you need to know about the objectives of business. The business is an economic institution operating in a socio-economic system. Okay, social in such that, the players, there are people involved. It's not just you is going to operate in that environment. You have to interact with others. And then economic in a sense that, definition of economics, allocation of limited resources to supply the unlimited wants and needs of the people, okay, through production, distribution of goods and services. Okay, so in a business, you have those two. Okay, so you interact with other people, and you, in a way, is in the process of utilizing resources to provide a specific need or want of the people. Okay, therefore, objectives of business should be defined keeping in view its prevailing environment and its needs for survival and growth. Like any other institution, business has several rather than a single objective. Okay, if a business would have, our first and foremost objective, it would be profitability. Okay, but then aside from profitability, there would be other, objectives like already mentioned here, survival, because there are a lot of, startups that don't actually survive in the long term. Sometimes they all disappear within the first year of their operations. They do not prosper. They cannot penetrate the market. They cannot properly market their products or service. So, their business dies. And then if a startup or if a starting business would be able to survive that, okay, so you already have your survival, then your next goal would have been to grow as a business. And then after the growth, you want to penetrate the market deeper, and you want to ensure that more and more people come to know the business. You get more share in the market, you get more customers, and that would translate to more revenues as well. And when you needed to provide more products or more services, then you would have to employ more and more people, and then deal with more and more suppliers. So you have your growth, and then after the growth, I think the next one would be stability. You have to ensure that the operations would not be disrupted by the growth. Okay, whenever the company grows, you should be able to cope with the changing demands and ensure that the operations would not be disrupted, and such that if you get more people, these people would adhere to what you guys are already doing, or are they going to present problems? And if there be problems that would arise, then you have to ensure that they would be addressed properly and they would not in any way hinder the growth of the business. Okay, so you're going to look at stability after the growth, or while the company is growing. Okay, and then after the stability, then you have your the last one in the first. Okay, so you have your efficiency. In this case, once everything is stabilized, then you might want to check which processes could further be improved, so that all aspects of your business would be operating efficiently. Okay, because efficiency, proper utilization of the resources, use of the least number of resources to produce the most number of output. Okay, that's what efficiency basically means. Okay, so going back here, objectives of business are multidimensional in nature. Business is established and it exists to achieve multiple objectives. So again, it's not just about the profit. It could mean other things as well for those who are starting up their businesses, or those who already have existing businesses. And aside from the first 5 that we're going to discuss, there are other objectives as well, like addressing problems, helping the community, social objectives, as we call it. Okay. People enter into business and stay in business because they want to earn money, social power and prestige, joy of achievement, and other goals. Okay. Okay, so first and foremost, again, to earn money, profitability, to be profitable. Okay. And sometimes they could use the profit to either benefit the owners or the people working for the business, or they could also use that to for the growth of the business, for them to have a wider reach or further reach of more and more customers, expansion essentially. Okay, and then of course you have this social power. Normally, people who succeed in businesses, they are very social people, in such that in business you have to deal with your employees, the people that you have to manage, and then you have to deal with partnerships with suppliers or with creditors, and then also you have to be able to socialize with your customers. Normally, for startups, the first people that you have to convince to become your customers are your family and friends normally. So if you don't have a good relationship with people, then you might not be able to convince other people as well to become your customer. So it's very important that a business person is a sociable person. Okay, so in a way, not many introverts go into business and succeed. Although I'm sure there are certain types of businesses that introverts could enjoy doing, okay, wherein they won't need to interact with many people, okay. But essentially, for national businesses operating on larger scales, national or global, they tend to be very sociable. They tend to create connections with other people, so that ease of business, they would be able to transact with different companies, B2B, business to business, aside from B2C, business to customers. So it would help if the person leading a business is a very sociable person, probably extrovert, and then it's an addition, or it's a very huge plus if he's also charismatic, okay? If he's able to easily influence other people with his words, presentation wise, very friendly gestures, things like that. Okay. Generally, profit motive is considered to be the primary objective of business, but profit making is not the sole or only objectives of a business. Okay. The thing is, for the business to continue, it should be profitable, because the moment it does not earn a profit, then there's not much it would be very stressful for the management, because they would be worrying about whether they can supply the needs of the company, the operations, if they can still pay the employees on time, if they can pay their credit on time. So the financial side, it's really very important that a business is profitable, so that it would not cause great concern to the management, okay? Because the moment it does not provide profit, and much worse if it incurs losses, then it would not be good for the morale and for the motivation of the individuals involved in the management, okay? So seeing that profit figure in a financial statement, it really, in a way, it provides a kind of motivation, or it makes one person relax in the management of the business, okay? Because there's not much to worry about if they are incurring profits, okay? So that is the first goal, but it shouldn't be the only goal of a certain company, okay? So there are, in the past, maybe it could be the only motivator of some businessmen, but over the years, we get to be more conscious of the environment, conscious of helping other people, conscious of the plight of other people around us, the plight of our country. And so there are certain businessmen that start their business with the objectives of helping the community, providing more employment, helping the government through their projects, helping the other people who are in need, the less fortunate, providing what do you call this, scholarships, livelihood programs, things like that. Okay, so nowadays CSR is very common to large companies, corporate social responsibility. Okay, so every business enterprise has to lay down its multiple objectives to justify its existence. Okay, also one reason why they do that is that it could also encourage customers or people or the general public to support the company by purchasing their goods or availing their services, if they do in a way show that they are also contributing to the community. Okay, but of course it has to be genuine for it to be perceived as such by the public. Okay, the objectives of business can be studied under the following heads, okay, the subheadings in this article. So we have economic objectives, social objectives, human or individual objectives, multiple objectives, organic, micro level, and then national and global. Okay, so first let's have, I think this one is the economic objectives. Profitability, growth, stability, efficiency, and survival. Business means busy in some activities. Business means conducting activities such as, of course, you have the sale, the purchase, manufacturing for profit, and growth. Okay. Business is also a particular company, enterprise, or corporation. So it could mean the activities, the operation of the business, or it could mean the entity itself. Okay, the corporation, partnership, or the sole proprietor. Okay, the enterprise. A business always has some purpose, and no doubt the most important purpose of business is achieving profitability and growth. Okay. Profitability, one of the most important objectives of business. We normally set up business to achieve profits for its owner or shareholders. But does it mean that business should somehow, by hook or crook, earn the profit? The answer is, of course, no. It should earn profit by working under rules and regulations or by following ethical practices. Essentially, businesses are regulated. In our country, they are regulated. There are, certain permits. If you're a sole proprietor, you need to be registered with the DTI, then with the BIR. You have to get also mayor's permit, barangay permit. Okay, and then you also have to pay taxes, right? And then you have to abide by all the other rules regarding the conduct of your business. You have to abide by the labor code, okay, proper waste management, what else? Essentially, those are the basics, right? So the businesses should abide by those rules and regulations. And then ethical practices, I shouldn't try to earn money by hook or crook. Okay, let's say you're scamming people to earn money. So that's not going to be acceptable. Okay, normally businesses that that involve themselves in illegal activities or harmful activities, they don't last. Okay, so they could be profitable for a short term, but they die quickly enough. Okay, and then of course they have to face the consequences of their actions. Okay, but for actual businesses, they do need to be profitable for them to continue properly and without much problems in their operations. And the thing is, for startups, the first few years are full of expenses and you don't normally see revenues, or, the revenues would not exceed the expenses or the cost until much later. Probably, let's say, after 2 years or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Some companies would not see profit until, let's say, a decade later. You can see stories of those companies on the net. I'll probably search for them later on, right? But essentially, that's the story. That's the reality of it, which is why I believe that it's justifiable, or it's reasonable for owners to get the most portion out of profits. And then let's say out of the profit they get 50% of it, because they're the ones who labored so much during the first few years of establishing the company. So they deserve it, and they're also trying to help the community by providing employment. They're trying to provide useful goods or services if they actually do. So it's reasonable, right, for the profits to go to the owners or the shareholders. Okay, but of course, if you are going to go into business, establish your own business, put up your own business, then you must take note of that. The first few years are going to be mostly expenses. There's not much revenue, and you're going to have to use up whatever fund that you have, be it personal funds or your savings. But if you also have family and friends who gave you some money to use as capital, or if you borrowed from lending companies, other financial institutions, then you have to expect that most of it will be used up during the first few years of operations, and then later would the revenue come in. So you have to ensure that the product you're developing or the service that you're trying to introduce to the market is going to be profitable. So that's why it's very important that before you put up your business, you've done your feasibility study, you've done your business plan, and you've set up certain strategies. You've set up your goals and objectives, and that you have strategies in place, you have your timelines set up properly. Okay, and then of course you needed to have that fund to start the business. Okay. Anyway, next we have growth. Another important objective of business is to achieve growth. The growth should be in terms of increase in profit, revenue capacity, number of employees, and employee prosperity. Okay. Of course, the increase in customer base would, redound here, increase in profit. If you have increase in profit, then that must mean that you've gotten more customers as well, or you've retained them, you have repeat customers, okay? So growth, why is growth important? So after establishing a business, of course, what you want to happen is for it to grow, for it to reach more people, for you to operate in more places, and then, of course, to get more revenue. And at the back of that, if you have social objectives, then provide more employment to other people and to have more projects for the community. Okay, and then for the growth, of course, innovation. We do have competition in the marketplace. So if you have a certain product, you have to assume that other people are going to copy it and that they might innovate it to provide, an additional benefit or an additional use for the product. So you have to also innovate and ensure that, you have plans for this product, that you can make improvements on it, or maybe you can create another product that's better than it. Okay, so you have to ensure that you have a plan for the growth of your company, and that would mean improving your goods and services as well. Okay, especially if you're in the tech industry, you're developing gadgets, you're producing gadgets, smartphones, laptops, tablets, any gadget stuff, okay, or even applications, right? Video games or game apps, okay. So you have to ensure that you have a plan on how you're going to innovate the product or service over the long term. So, sometimes you really don't need to put out everything on the first few years of your operations. You have to, keep something to yourself. And then when the competition starts, when the others are, trying to get ahead of you, then you have something to use to keep your customers and to entice more and more customers to your business. Okay, so just some plans that you have to incorporate in your strategy to ensure that your company is going to grow. All right. Thirdly, we have stability. Stability means continuity of business. Okay, so have to survive the competition. An enterprise or business should achieve stability in terms of customer satisfaction, creditworthiness, employee satisfaction, etc. Stable organization can handle changing dynamics of markets. Okay, so it's very important for businesses to give importance to their customers. Okay, the customers are the ones paying you. Okay, they're the ones providing you with that revenue, with the cash. Okay, so it's very important that you treat them properly. If they would need, customer service or after sales service, then you have to provide it properly. Okay, you have to be very polite. You have to address their concerns if the product is malfunctioning or not operating as intended. Then you have to have systems in place that would address those problems and help them solve or resolve those problems. Okay, there are a lot actually of businesses, applications, websites, even banks that do not have satisfactory customer service, that in a way it has become the norm, and sometimes people will be just, nah, yeah, that's expected. I've been on hold for hours, my concern has not been addressed, my refund took months before I receive it. Okay, or the product I bought is not even functioning and I couldn't return it as soon as I can. I couldn't get a replacement. Yeah, things like that. So you have to be, if you're a business providing a product, then you should make sure that you're not going to, run off, because currently customer reviews are very important before a new individual comes in and buy a product from you, they would check the reviews, right? What are people saying about this company and this product? You know, are they great? Are they what do you call this? Are they functioning well, or would have there been problems? How often do delivered products malfunction, and how is their customer service? Do they help out immediately, or do I have to wait for days? Okay, so sometimes, you know, it does turn off potential customers if they see negative reviews, mga tipong 1 star, 2 stars on their website or on review sites. Okay? So it's very important you provide a great customer service for your products. And with regards to services naman, and of course, quality service, you have to ensure that you've addressed the needs of the customer. Because if you missed one, or if there's something that they are not fully satisfied with, then they might still give you a bad review rating. Okay, so stability, I think this focuses more on the customers, but it would also involve the internal management. So you have your employees, you have to make sure that your employees are also satisfied, okay? Because you have to develop a good culture among your employees, so that the workplace is, a satisfying workplace, that people would want to come in and work for you, and that they know it's going to be fun inside the business, inside the operations. So you also have to ensure that the inside is very much satisfactory for the employees. Okay, and then with regards to relationships with others, you have here creditworthiness. So you have to ensure that if you have credit, from financial institutions, or if you promise to pay dividends to the shareholders, then you have to ensure that you keep your word. Okay, and then of course you pay your dues on time. Okay, and if there are certain small problems and you can't pay on time, be sure that you inform them properly. Okay, you have to make sure that your relationship with the others, your creditors, your suppliers, your shareholders, are all well. Okay, so in a way, it's still the whole majority of the aspects of the business. It would require all that for your business to be stable, okay, for you to achieve stability. Okay, and then we have efficiency. An efficient or aggressive working environment. A business would always try to achieve the best in its field. Efficiency is considered in terms of labor, productivity, energy consumption, quality control. Okay, in essence, for businesses, what efficiency means is using the least number of resources to provide the most number of output na quality naman. Okay? So, hindi yung gumamit ka nga ng least number of resources, pagdating mo naman dun sa napakarami mong output, mga defective, or would need rework. So, that's not efficiency actually. Okay? That's a failed business. Okay? So, for efficiency, they have here labor productivity. Okay? So, if you have happy workers, if you have happy employees, of course, they would be willing to give it their best during the production. Okay, so in a way, you can see that they are skilled, they are competent, and they are able to produce the most number of products in a short amount of time, or using lesser materials. Okay, kasi sanay na sila dun sa ginagawa nila, sa pag-produce nila. So yung let's say sa pagkakat ng materials, para makatipid sa materials, alam na nila. Okay, over time, di ba, you have your learning curve as well. So meron mga ganon. So labor productivity. Okay, sometimes it would not mean na nakatipid ka nga sa labor cost, di ba? Salaries and wages ng workers mo. Tinipid mo masyado. So, in a way, it could demotivate individuals and, make them work less, and yung tipong bara-bara na lang sa ginagawa nila. Okay? So, it's also good that you reward their good work, their competence, their skills by raising their rates, okay, sa labor. Okay, labor rate na tinatawag natin. Okay, give them a higher salary than the minimum. Okay, so that it could motivate them as well, could satisfy them. Kasi nga, maayos naman yung trabaho nila, marami silang napoproduce, tapos natitipid nila yung resources ng company. So, reward them for that. Okay? Energy consumption, almost, the same with the productivity. Lesser number of resources yung nagagamit ng workers mo. Let's say, before, nung baguhan pa lang sila, inaabot ng 3 oras bago makatapos ng isang unit ng product. But of course, over time, natututo na sila. So, they just, within 1.5 hours or within 1 hour, natatapos na nila currently. So, in a way, that would also help with reducing energy consumption and other, let's say, utilities or other resources. Okay? And then, quality control, of course, they have to ensure na maganda yung pagkakagawa pa rin ng products. Although, hindi naman sa minadali, diba? Hindi naman sa minadali porque napaliit nila yung oras ng paggawa. It's just that they are more skilled. Praktisado na sila masyado sa paggawa ng product. Yung iba nga, diba, yung sinasabi, kaya nang gawin kahit nakapikit, ganyan. Okay? So, efficiency. Okay? And then, also, dito sa quality control din, maiiwasan yung mga defective products. Kasi yung defective products, minsan, nagiging cause siya ng, of course, customer dissatisfaction. Pwede kayong i-report, bigyan ng negative reviews. Okay, so kung maganda yung pagkakagawa ng products, diba, mapaliit yung percentage of defective production. Okay? Yung rework, mabawasan yung rework, mabawasan yung cost din for entertaining complaints. Okay? Minsan kasi kapag may complaints, you have to, provide additional something to make sure na hindi masyadong hindi masyadong mainis, magalit itong customer na to. Okay, you have to satisfy them. Sometimes you do that by providing them with more extra things, extra freebies. Minsan, nire-rework or nire-replace yung product for free or for a very discounted amount. Diba? Para lang matuwa sila na, ay, okay, sige. Okay lang pala kasi nakatipid naman. Just. Alright, last one, we have survival. A business should have the capability to survive markets, jolts, or shocks. A business should be there with a vision of long-term existence. Okay. I think, for the most part, majority of businesses, as we've seen through the pandemic, they have not prepared well for all types of situations. Kasi nga, I think once every 100 years lang naman nagkakaroon ng pandemic. So in a way, not many of them have prepared well for the effects of the pandemic and not many of them survived. We've seen maraming businesses in different industries ang nagsara na, or they've slowed their operations, they've reduced their operations. Even some big businesses, they have dropped certain line segments or product lines. And so, survival. For a newly created business, so in the long run, for survival ang hanap natin. Kasi once you establish the business, you want it to move forward. Tuloy-tuloy na. Kasi yung, pinaghirapan mo for how many years, ang dami mo ng pagod dyan, ang dami mo ng tinrabaho. You want it to continue earning money for you and all the other objectives then na set up, mga social objectives, masatisfy nila in the long run. Okay? And of course, we've seen naman mga businesses na operating for more than 50 years now, more than 100 years. Okay? And, people have come to love them. They've known their brands and kahit, through the pandemic, they're still well-known and tawag dito, tinatangkilik pa rin ng masa or ng general public. Okay. I think majority of through the pandemic, for this particular incident lang naman, most of the businesses that survived are the essential businesses lang. Okay, and then those also in the tech industry na hindi naman masyadong affected by physical operations yung kanilang businesses. Okay. That's why minsan, although you have your luxury businesses providing luxury products or services, although you are catering to the higher end of the population, still, mayroong mga instances na hindi kaya mag-survive. Okay, other objectives of business: economic, social, human, or individual, and multiple objectives. Okay. Every business is directed to the achievement of certain objectives, and again, they do that by ensuring that they have certain strategies or a plan, step-by-step plan. Normally, yung strategies, it's for the long run, right? And then you have your goals and objectives. For the goals, you can have long-term goals and then you have short-term goals. Normally, you sineset up mo yung short-term goals to support your long-term goals, okay? So essentially, sometimes yung strategies mo, you can have your long-term and then you have your short-term plans then to support the strategy. Okay, objectives refer to the endpoints towards which all businesses activities are directed. Objectives lay down the guidelines for various activities and decide the direction and amount of efforts needed for these activities. Objectives should be feasible and must be expressed in specific terms with a time limit for achievement. Ayan, kailangan may timeline ka din. Okay, within how many years should this be achieved by the company? Kasi kapag hindi mo nasusundan yung timeline, you would, start questioning yourself na, ano ba, ma-achieve pa ba to? Achievable ba talaga to? Or do you need to make adjustments? Okay? For example, the objective of a mobile company can be to increase the mobile users by 10% in 2 years. Okay? Normally, kapag startups, new businesses, what do you call this? The objectives are normally in terms of the market share, okay? Penetrating the market kasi, di ba, customers. You need the customers to get your revenue. So, in a way, how many customers do you want to have instead of translating it immediately to sales, okay? And then you have your first few years, in 1 year, in 2 years. Business objectives may be broadly classified into 3. You have your economic, social, and human or individual objectives. So for the economic objectives, business is an economic activity and its objectives are mainly economic in nature. Ano yan? So first we have the profit earning. So ganun pa din, ano? Every entrepreneur undertakes business activities primarily to earn profits, and normally those profits are used either to expand or simply to continue operating. No business can survive for long without earning sufficient profits. Yes, sir. A business needs profits not only for its existence but also for expansion and diversification. Profits provide a means of livelihood for the entrepreneur and a reward for bearing the risk. Okay? Kaya nga sabi ko nga, it's okay for the entrepreneur, the owner, to get a huge part or, the major part of the profit. Kasi sila naman talaga yung they took the risk, they're the ones who labored, sila lahat yung naghirap, nagpakasakit, okay, para lang malampasan lahat ng mga problemang pinagdaanan. And I assure you, maraming problemang pinagdadaanan ang mga startup, okay? Second is survival. Every business aims to ensure that it continues to survive and exist in the future. Survival is possible only when organization is able to earn enough revenue to recover its cost, of course. And then thirdly, growth. The business needs to add to its prospects in the long run. For this, the business must grow and expand to survive in the long run. Okay, long run? What's that? Not sure about that. Long run, alam ko pa. Growth of a business indicates how well it is able to exploit its potential opportunities. Growth is measured in terms of sales volume, increase in number of employees, market share, number of products. Okay, already discussed this earlier. Other economic objectives of business, so you have your creation of customers, okay? Demand, essential in order to earn profits. Customers are the focus of all business activities, can exist and grow only when it is able to capture a big market share. There are enough people to buy the products and services offered by the enterprise, okay, of course. Innovation refers to introduction of new ideas or new methods of production. Innovation plays a crucial role in increasing the competitive strength and improving the image of business enterprise in the mind of customers. Okay, I'm not sure if you've heard, and I'm not sure if it's a true story actually, but if you've heard of Nokia, nagamit nyo pa ba ang Nokia? During my elementary days, I think grade 6 na nagkaroon ako ng Nokia phone. It's a really good phone and very durable. Although, basic phone lang siya for calls and text messages, tapos may konting games lang siya doon, diba? Snake. Ganyan. But it's a really good product. But the problem is, once the smartphones were introduced, they were unable to produce that type of product as well. Okay, so kumbaga, napag-iwanan na sila ng panahon. They were unable to innovate their product. So sa ngayon, I'm not sure. I think they are producing Nokia phones pa din naman. Pero parang iba na rin. Kumbaga ibang style na rin. But back then, napag-iwanan talaga because they were unable to innovate. Okay, so it's very important for businesses, again, especially kapag nasa tech industry ka na, you're able to innovate your product, make improvements on it, or if you can introduce a completely new product better than the previous one that you are offering. Okay. Optimal utilization of resources, efficiency. Resources available with the business are generally limited, so every business enterprise aims to make the best possible use of physical, financial, and human resources. This objective can be achieved through employing efficient and competent workforce, making full use of installed machinery, minimizing wastage of materials. Okay, what are some of the problems na kinakaharap ng mga businesses? Employing efficient and competent workforce. I think this is an actual challenge for businesses. Kasi mahirap, especially kapag startup ka, medyo mahirap makaakit ng competent na mga employees. Okay? Kasi normally they want, employment security. Kailangan for the long run talaga yung nagiging employment nila. Pero kung startup ka, diba, andun yung doubt na baka hindi ka tumagal, baka after a few years, magsara ka na rin, ganyan. And so sometimes startups are unable to makahikayat ng mga ganong klase ng tao. So sometimes the employees of startups are not that motivated. Some of them are not even competent for the job. Some of them are, not motivated. And of course, there's also the job mismatch. Sometimes very urgent yung need for the person. Pero, kumbaga hindi na nakapag-intay din yung business or yung startup to analyze more applicants or to review more applicants para yun talagang the best ang makuha nila. And of course, andun kasi rin yung problem na inexperience, yung HR na mag-hire, inexperience din yung owner na nag-interview dun sa tao. And of course, you have your applicants na minsan, they're not telling the truth. Sometimes, di ba, yung ini-exaggerate yung kanilang mga skills, yung kanilang mga achievements, yung mga kaya nilang gawin. So sometimes that's a problem. There's that gap. Okay? Making full use of installed machinery, probably siguro sa mga, mga established factories or production companies. Making full use of installed machinery. Okay, and then you have your minimizing wastage of materials. Okay? Ganun na rin. Okay? Social objectives naman refer to the objectives which are desired to be achieved for the benefit of the society. Business makes use of scarce resources of the society, so sometimes it's expected that people give back to the community. So first and foremost doon, of course, employment to the people in the community. And then, payment of taxes, mga corporate social responsibility projects. So those are just some of it. And of course, adhering with the laws and regulations and ensuring that they are not harming the environment, through proper waste management. Those are just some. Some of the major social objectives are supply of quality products at fair prices. Okay, you just have to ensure that the products are all great quality, tapos affordable prices or fair prices. Okay, kumbaga reasonable. The business should ensure that there is a regular supply of useful products with fair quality and at reasonable prices. Okay, I think this would apply to essential or tawag dito, necessity, mga products na necessity naman talaga ng mga tao. Supply of adulterated goods, inferior quality goods, unusable or harmful products are detrimental to the survival of business. Kasi nga, low ratings, irereklamo ka, hindi kayo tatagal. Okay? Masisira yung image, yung brand or most probably the image that you're going to create is yung kapalpakan ng business. Okay, so it's not going to be good for, you know, survival ng company. So avoid dapat yung mga yan. It must be noted that customer is now more educated and quality conscious and expects the value for his money spent. Although if you see, di ba, pag nag-shop ka sa Shopee or Lazada, may mga masyadong mura na mga products doon. But if you look at the comments, it's not that the product is great, but kumbaga, it's parang ini-equate dun sa price, na for the price, pwede na, okay? For the price na binayaran ko, okay lang, sige, acceptable na, okay? Pero kung yung tipong medyo mahal yung binayaran mo, yung tipong tinatawag nila na worth the price, okay? If it's not worth the price, talaga magre-reklamo yan, kahit gano'n pa yan kamura, diba? Sobrang mura nga, pero hindi mo naman naghamit, that's not worth the price, okay? Mura siya, hindi siya masyadong kagandahan, pero nagagamit mo naman, then that's okay. That's acceptable already. Okay? Avoidance of unfair trade practices. Business enterprise should not indulge in antisocial and unfair trade practices like black marketing. That's not good. Hoarding, di ba? Minamanipulate ang supply. Okay, adulteration, etc. Such practices are not only illegal but also hamper the image of business community. So, every business organization should aim to avoid such undesirable activities. Okay? May consequence din naman pati yan with regards to, law enforcement din. Ng mga penalties, papasara yung business, ganyan. Generation of employment opportunities. So, every business enterprise should create sufficient employment opportunities without any discrimination as to caste, religion, sex, etc. Okay? Sometimes they even include age. In India, unemployment is a serious problem and the business community can play a dominant role in solving this problem. I'm not sure about this. Protection of environment. So, environment conscious na rin ng mga customer these days. So, they want to ensure na yung mga companies, they are handling their waste properly. Hindi yung tinatapan na lang basta-basta kung saan-saan. Okay? Business enterprise should take all the reasonable steps to check and protect environment. It must make proper arrangement for disposal of effluent, smoke, waste, etc. Mga factories, mga hospitals, or those in the medical, yung mga gumagamit ng chemicals, in order to avoid various types of pollution. Then, of course, we have community service, CSR, pwede na din. Many business organizations engage in various community services like setting up schools or providing scholarships, charitable dispensaries, donating money for social and religious activities, providing livelihood programs, ganyan. Fulfillment of this objective helps to improve the reputation and public image of the business. Okay? Welfare of employees. No business can succeed without the contribution of the employees. So again, you have to ensure na sila ay satisfied. The business should aim to provide fair wages, reasonable working and living conditions to workers. Okay? Okay, next we have human or individual objectives. Human or individual objectives refer to the objectives related to the individual needs of the employees of an organization. As employees are one of the most valuable resources for an organization, satisfaction of their objectives is very important. So, kumbaga, kailangan i-consider mo rin naman yung mga needs and wants ng iyong mga employees. And if the company can provide, then do so. Okay? Individual objectives include the following: healthy and safe working conditions, okay, fair and competitive salaries and perks. Pero sometimes this is nakadepende rin sa individual how they're going to look at the fairness. Kasi minsan they're forgetting, again, salary supposed to be confidential, and then of course, although merong although merong mga salary schemes sa mga businesses, let's say for this position, ang starting salary mo is this one, and then if you have experience, pwede siyang tumaas pa, diba? And then if you are, if you have certifications, if your educational attainment is higher, then syempre medyo mas mataas pa din. Okay? But then, some people are looking at, pareho lang naman kami ng ginagawa, ganyan. Okay? Or something like, magkaiba kayo ng position, pero let's say sabay kayong dumating dun sa company, okay? Medyo inggitan, ganyan. But then again, these are people problems, ano. So, have to properly explain na lang siguro sa kanila, and kapag hindi talaga sila understanding or if they cannot fathom the explanation, then I think that person would, you would have a problem with that person, okay, if he would remain unsatisfied, if he cannot accept the explanation na provide mo, okay? Healthy and safe working conditions, yan, kaya namang i-provide yan. And there's not more, okay, to provide opportunities for personal growth and development of employees. Siguro mag-provide kayo ng, let's say, events, let's say, mga webinars din na kung saan makakapag-unwind. Okay, dalawa naman yan, makapag-unwind yung employees, may matutunan silang bago, ma-apply nila sa trabaho, or they have fun, okay, mga tipong company outings, ganyan. Okay? Provide reasonable security of service. Okay. Security of tenure, make sure na merong contract, di ba? Permanent employee ka na, ganyan. Make sure they sign a contract para alam nila, okay, merong appointment, merong contract. Okay, hindi yung sinasabi nyo lang na oral na, oh, okay, basta makaisang taon ka na dito sa company, regular employee ka na, you'll be receiving benefits. It's nice to have everything in, black and white. Okay? Properly documented. To provide various financial and non-financial incentives in order to motivate the workers. Okay, hindi yung palaging tapik lang sa balikat. Congratulations. So, sometimes you need to provide monetary rewards then, or probably, in-kind certificates, trophies, or gifts siguro. Okay? If not monetary talaga. Okay? To encourage employees to take initiative and participation in management. Okay? Sometimes the motivation here is to allow them to be heard and to make sure that they know kapag in-implement yung kanilang ideas, give them credit. Okay? Kasi let's say, you have your meetings, you have your idea generation, pero hindi nyo naman pinapakinggan yung sinasabi ng mga employees, especially kung, di ba, lahat halos ng mga sinabi ng employees, hindi nyo naman tinake into consideration sa decision nyo. So, that would be demotivating. They would, lower their morale, and they might not want to participate anymore in the discussion kasi, hindi nyo naman kami pinapakinggan, so whatever for, right? Alright, and then multiple objectives of business. In this competitive world, management of a business must set multiple objectives. Yan, kasi hindi lang naman talaga isa. There are a variety of objectives. 8 key areas. Market standing. Of course, for you to be able to survive and to profit, kailangan yung, market share mo, audience, customers. Okay? Kailangan maparami mo pa yung iyong mga customers, repeat customers, and if you can encourage them to put in a good word for you, di ba? Yung word of mouth marketing na tinatawag natin. Okay? And of course, you have to maintain quality products, reasonable prices, and then customer satisfaction for after sales service or customer service. Innovation, and banggit na rin natin kanina, so skip na natin ng konti. Productivity, physical and financial resources. I think efficiency ang pinapoint out dito. Okay, and then earning profits, profitability pa din. Manager performance and development. I think this has something to do with, career, training, and development ng mga tao. And then, of course, we call that employee satisfaction, na maayos nila nagagampanan yung trabaho nila within the business entity, and they are properly coordinated with the other departments in the business. Okay? All business enterprises need managers to conduct and coordinate business activities. So every business enterprise must actively work for development of managers' performance. So in a way, parang rin siya, evaluation ng mga managers if they are doing well, and of course, if they are doing well, provide them with some sort of reward. Okay? Worker performance and attitude, culture, workers' performance and attitudes directly influence the productivity. Are they satisfied or not? Are they motivated or not? And kasi yun ay, in a way, parang it directly influences the productivity and profitability. So every business enterprise must aim to improve performance of the workers and to develop positive attitude among them. But these days, normally the way to motivate employees is to provide them with better benefits. And of course, non-toxic working environment. Happy workplace. Social responsibility, okay. Meet the expectations of the society. Social responsibility refers to the obligation of the business firms to contribute resources for solving social problems and work in a socially desirable manner. Okay? Mahaba pa ba to? I think we've covered the basics naman. And then these are, I think these ones are repeat. Okay. Yeah, and then there's this second part. I've end the video here, tapos separate video na lang kasi medyo mahaba na, Okay, so that's it for this one. We'll continue the next video. Thank you and bye.